Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire, and by Tri-State Megabuck and the New Hampshire State Lottery, helping New Hampshire schools one ticket at a time. WNDS Sports presents New England's favorite bowling show. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Featuring the best bowlers from around the region. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And now your hosts, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hello again, everybody. It is great to have you with us for another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. It's our 5th ladder series of the season. We are looking for our 5th qualifier into the Tournament of Champions.
What an exciting week last week. Mike Morgan slipping into first place with a 1-pin victory in terms of overall standings over Chris Bovair. So he's the top guy right now at 402. Chris Bovair second. He relinquished the top spot last week to Morgan with 401. Bob Whitcomb from the first ladder series of the year at 380. And Gary Carrington, odd to find him at the bottom so far, but he is in the 4th spot at 364.
And 5 great bowlers will be competing over the course of the next 4 weeks for that 5th spot in the Tournament of Champions. Let's meet our bowlers for this afternoon's first match of the new ladder series. Both veterans, and you will recognize them both, a North Shore of Massachusetts battle. First, number 5 seed, Joe Stella from Winthrop, Massachusetts.
And as the bowlers themselves are calling us, this is their steel cage match. They know each other very well. Beginning with Joe Stella, averaging 125, high single 201, bowled that here in the last year at Leda Lanes. High triple is 486, and Joey does his bowling at Central Park Lanes in East Boston.
Joe rolled a 645 in the roll-off to earn the number 5 seed in this ladder series. As we'll climb up the ladder, he will take on number 4 seed, Ed Woodside from Saugus, Massachusetts.
Ed coming in with an average of 122. His high single is 184. High triple is 446. Bowling at Central Park Lanes in East Boston, and the Pro League as well, and the Mitch League at Park Place in Wyndham.
And Ed rolled a 647 in the roll-off to earn the number 4 seed. It's Joe Stella and Ed Woodside. Let's get right to it. We're coming back with this afternoon's match from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, right after this. Here are the 5 bowlers that'll be competing in this ladder series. There you see Joe Stella and Ed Woodside. This afternoon's match, Craig Holbrook, John Zappi, and Jeff Surrett rounding out the ladder, and it'll be Joe Stella and Ed Woodside meeting this afternoon here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, and we are ready to begin. It'll be Joe Stella first to bowl this afternoon. He starts off with a good pocket shot and a spare opportunity right off the bat.
A couple pieces of wood in front of the 610. There'll be no problem unless he doesn't hit it right.
Just as you said it.
Yeah, he maybe was a little too far left, but it still looked like it should have gone. And a 9 for Joe Stella. Coming in at 645 for his 5-game qualifying round and the roll-offs to get here today. It takes a couple different visits and eliminations to finally get on the TV show, as you probably know. Here's the 4 horsemen on the left side, the 10-pin in the corner.
Wouldn't you know it, the tough one he makes. What a beautiful shot by Joe to convert the spare. Looked like he had an easy spare in the first frame, and he did not convert. Here's Ed Woodside, greeted by the crowd and acknowledging their response. Ed's from Saugus, averaging 122. High single of 184, high triple 446, a 647 in the roll-off, bowling out of Central Park Lanes in East Boston. And he also bowls at Park Place. And he almost made the spare.
These guys are very familiar with each other.
Of course, the North Shore of Massachusetts, one of the hotbeds for Candlepin bowling. Some great bowlers coming out of that neck of the woods.
They all know each other very well. Their families bowl together as Ed and Joey's kids bowl together in East Boston on Saturday mornings. This is the, shall we say, symbolic steel cage match. As Ed and Joey told me, this is it. They bowled each other twice in recent years, and Joe Stella won both times. So Ed Woodside pulling out the magical steel cage metaphor here. pulling out all the stops today against his good friend Joe Stella.
A pair of 10s for Ed. We'll get to your letters and emails during the course of the match. We love hearing from you. We'll give you the address to email us or send us mail during the course of the match as well. We always look forward to your cards and letters. It's great to know that you're out there as this program, Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV, week after week, month after month, remains among the highest rated programs on the station. And that's all because of you. Joe just put a deuce in the spare with the half Worcester.
So even though he had a mark and Ed has none, he's only 1 pin ahead of Ed Woodside through completed boxes.
We had a great email, Mike, and for the life of me, I can't find it. I'd like to acknowledge the sender. I do remember the gist of the email. Look at that spare.
Shot.
Great spare by Joe. He's made a couple of great shots. He made the full horseman with the 10-pin, and then the 1 and the 2 with the 10-pin. Very similar type shots, and he converted the spare. Here it is again, sending that head pin over to kick off the wall and take out the 10-pin for the mark. The gist of the email, we get a lot of questions, we get a lot of repeat questions, and this is the first question. It was a great question, one we haven't had before. You wonder why we haven't had it before. The writer says that we're constantly referring to pins by numbers, by the 1 pin, the 2 pin, the 4 pin, the 7 pin, the 9 pin, as Ed Woodside picks up the spare. And his question is, are the numbers on the pins? Is that why we're giving them numbers? And of course, I'll let you answer that question.
The answer is no, the numbers are not on the pins, because one important thing that you should know is that the pins all get mixed up in the machinery and come down in different positions every time. Even on the deck where the pins are spotted, there are no numbers. But we just happen to know.
Is it going to go? It's going to get wobbled, but it's not going to go. So the pins have assigned numbers by their position on the deck.
Yes. But there's no numbers, no writing on the pins themselves. There is no writing or any kind of, you know, markings on the deck itself, or the plate as it's called, where the pins come to rest.
Good question, one we haven't had before, at least to my recollection.
And I'd like to know who decided, you know, that the pins would be numbered from front to rear. I imagine somebody just came up and said this is how it's going to be, and nobody ever questioned it, with the 1 pin and then the 2 and the 3 in the next row and so forth.
Someone had to do it at some point. Someone took the bull by the horns and said, we're going to do it this way.
We know that bowling dates back to Egyptian times, but we don't know who numbered them.
Strike by Joe Stella, his 3rd mark of the string.
Do you think there's a bowling scholar out there somewhere, Dick, that's done research till he found the answer to that?
Where's Tony Zernicke? He's the only... He'd be the one I'd go to first.
Good point. Tony provides us with lots of little interesting nuggets and tidbits about the history of bowling, and we like to acknowledge him when we can. For many years ran the WCBC. His wife, the late Stacia Zernicke, just an outstanding athlete.
And once again, he's allowing me to use Stacia's bowling balls for our competition, which will be taking place.
But by the time folks watch this, it happened already.
Yeah.
But as we tape today, we haven't actually done it. That's why we can't tell you how things turned out.
Oh, we can tell him. We can tell him how it will turn out.
So you want to print the headline "Dewey beats Truman," do you? Before it happens. All right.
Ed Woodside, a good shot in the head pin. Will he knock the 7-pin? Look at that 7-pin dance halfway off the lane. But it stands. The 6-7, no wood. Ed stares it down, but it's not going to fall. Tough shot with no wood to play. The wood in the gutter to the left could come into play if he cuts it too fine. And it could kick back in to help out. Not going to make the shot. Gave it a good run. So he'll be open in the 6th frame, and Joe Stella will be working on a strike when he comes up to the line. 9 bucks for Ed. Joe has 3 marks. Unfortunately, they haven't been. His first 2 were not filled very well. A 2 and a 6.
And Ed Woodside's lone mark was filled with only a 3.
Working on a strike.
Well, the triple strike jackpot, just in case you're wondering, is $950 for a 3-bagger.
We give $50 for 3 consecutive marks, $25 for each succeeding mark. Put 9 in the strike for Joe Stella.
Should mention Ed Woodside, Joe Stella's partner today, hit triple strike jackpot a couple of years ago for, I believe, $525.
Joe's a sales associate at Macy's. Oh, that's Ed's bio I'm looking at. Joe's a UPS courier driver in Somerville.
(7-9) split with a piece of wood, not too far from the 7-pin. It'll take a fine touch to make this happen.
Nice shot. What a great shot by Joe Stella, playing the wood perfectly. Beautifully done. 4th mark of the string for Joe Stella. Watch it again. He had to play the wood just to the left of the head of the wood, and he played it perfectly. Well done.
93 with a spare up in the 8th frame for Joe Stella. Ed Woodside through 6 has 60 pins.
You're talking about our head-to-head match, again, which will be completed by the time people watch this show. I didn't sneak out and practice a couple of times.
And you're using Stacia Zernicke's bowling ball.
Using Stacia Zernicke's bowling balls. I wanted to thank Ross Wheeler at Fast Lanes in Stowe, Massachusetts. Once again, that was one of the places we stopped at to get a few strings in. Ross runs a nice establishment over there. As a matter of fact, when we were there, he was telling us that next weekend he was going to have 17 different birthday parties over the course of the weekend, which is great. Ed Woodside with a 9 drop.
I'm guessing he didn't charge you to bowl here with this little plug, huh?
We worked out an arrangement. Oh, he's not going to get it. It hit the pin in the gutter. No good.
It's too bad it was an easy spare with the guide pin to the left of the 10.
So he has to take a 9 box instead of the mark. And now here's Joe Stella working on a spare. Ross Wheeler at Fast Lanes, as I mentioned, runs a very nice establishment. A lot of leagues going on down there, and it's a great operation. So stop in if you're in the area of Stowe, Massachusetts, to Fast Lanes. It's 117 Great Road in the shopping plaza there, right on Route 117 in Stowe. Again, that's another area of Candlepin bowling, real hotbed of Candlepin bowling. Stowe, Acton, in that general central Massachusetts area, very active.
Used to be a bowling center in Maynard. That closed about 15 years ago. Right in downtown.
That's the 5th mark of the string for Joe Stella.
Ross Wheeler, I have friends that know him. I think he used to be in a rock and roll band.
Oh?
I think he used to have a little band going.
Well, he threw it off the head pin. He's got 7. He's got 8 in the spare. And another spare opportunity. It's not the easiest shot in the world. The 1 and the 10 with no wood to help
But
out.
he's made the equivalent of this twice.
Ooh, he sent it by. He almost made it again.
Did it with the 4 horsemen and then the 1-2.
129. 130 first string for Joe Stella. Well done. The thing that I was impressed with at Fast Lanes again was Ross telling me about the birthday parties and the youngsters that are getting involved in Candlepin bowling. And I also bowled at Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, Tim Lipke's bowling establishment. The night we were there, I was there with my daughter Allison and one of her friends. It was glow bowling. They had the lights were out, and it was bowling in the dark. There's a spare for Ed Woodside.
And that probably actually helped your game, bowling in the dark, right?
Sure did. And it was packed. It was great. It's great to see so many young people out and really enjoying Candlepin bowling. It really gives you a lift. I got really psyched by seeing so many kids out bowling. It was really a terrific experience.
Tim Lipke pick up the tab for you that night, too?
Tim wasn't there, no.
Well, you can reimburse Dick at WNDS 50 television plays.
Ed Woodside with a 9 in the strike, a spare rather. And another mark, so he closes with a couple of marks.
And it's a shame that he put that ball in the gutter in the 8th frame.
Would have had 4.
Yeah.
Would have had 3 anyway. Would have had the $50.
And a much closer match. Best he can do here is 116.
My point in all of this is that with the birthday parties at Fast Lanes and the Globe Bowling at Lakeside and seeing all the young kids getting involved in Candlepin is really uplifting. It's really a great thing to see.
It's fun, and it's a matter of survival for the Candlepin bowling industry. It's no secret that a number of bowling centers have gone out of business in the last 15 years.
5 in the spare, 111 first string for Ed Woodside. Joe Stella's 130. That's a 19-pin lead for Stella over Woodside. We go to string number 2 when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Ready to go, string number 2. Ed Woodside will be first to bowl at Leda Lanes in Nashua. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV crew making it all possible for you to enjoy the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world. Joe Stella with a 19-pin lead over Ed Woodside as we head to the middle string. We bowl 3 strings, and the total number of pins determines the winners. One of the regular attendees at our tapings, Vinny Zanino of Somerville, Massachusetts, a longtime member of the LeCount Class Bowling League, now in its 77th year, is not here today.
Wow.
He's having cataract surgery. It's his second in the last couple of months. 4 other members of the league are here today to watch our taping, and that's from Roger McDonald, the president of the league, who asked me to give our best wishes to Vinny Zanino and wish him the best, and we'll look forward to seeing him back at our next taping.
So the 1 pin remains, the head pin. Back-to-back 10s if he gets it, but he does not. And Joey Stella's brother used to be very active in the Pro Tour back in the 80s, John Stella. And Joey was telling me that brother John is contemplating a return to competitive play, even though it's been at least 15 years. Last pro action took place in Canada as the Stella brothers bowled with the Morgans. So we're talking possibly seeing John Stella back on the circuit. So we encourage him to do that. Come be on our show, perhaps sometime, brother versus brother, like the Morgans on a number of occasions in past years. So it's tied at 10 after 1 completed box in game number 2. 19-pin deficit for Ed Woodside as Joe Stella takes an early lead in today's 3-game set.
I want to acknowledge a couple of notes that we received. Mary Shea from Newburyport, Mass. writes that she, her husband and brothers-in-law her husband and brothers-in-law used to be prize-winning bowlers, and they watch the show every week from Newburyport, Massachusetts. We appreciate hearing from Mary, and also want to acknowledge a note that we received from Kenneth Gove Jr. from Exeter, New Hampshire. Thanks for writing in. We appreciate hearing from you.
You can always email us. More and more people are signing on to the World Wide Web. Our email address, bowling@WNDS.com. And we've got some emails that we'll share here over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Well, Ed breaks up the split. The crowd liked that. Now a shot at the 7-pin. And the spare for Ed Woodside. Ed is a sales associate at Macy's in downtown Boston. He and Denise have been married 16 years, and Michael and Lauren are their 2 children. He plays basketball in an over 35 league in Saugus in his free time.
At age 43. Looks to be in pretty good shape.
Sure does.
But Joe Stella's had his number the last 2 times on TV. Last time, though, he was on, he was a number 3 seed, defeating Sean Baker. And then the next week, losing to Bill Trefo, 370 to 339.
Ed missed the spare. And he'll take a 10 box. I don't know if I ever told you, Mike, but I was originally from Worcester.
Get out of here.
And when I The first ball I ever bowled in Candlepin bowling was at the Metro Bowl on Park Avenue in Worcester.
Which is probably no longer there.
No longer there. Tim Fenton sent in a note from Worcester to... There's a spare for Joey.
Wow.
What a great shot by Joey. Wow.
4 and the 7 were the last to go.
Watch it again. That was after half Worcester. He converted the spare. And now he fills the spare, and he fills it with a 9. We'll talk about the passing of one of the pioneers in bowling when we come back after the break. From Worcester, from the Metro Bowl. Joe with the spare double mark as we head to the break. Joe Stella has the lead. We continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Ed Woodside will bowl on lane 34 at Leda Lanes. Right on the head pin, and there they go. Everything but the 10-pin. Now, he had the 10-pin last time, similar situation. Pin's in the gutter, and he hit the pin in the gutter first, and it cost him the mark. And this time, he's right on the 10-pin.
Wasn't going to repeat the same mistake. The ball stayed more to the left, and he had more margin of error on the left because there was a piece of wood that would have guided it right back to the 10th pin itself.
Second mark in the string for Ed Woodside. That's off the head pin, but he still gets a pretty good break and puts 7 in the mark.
No wood to worry about right here. You hit between the 1 and the 2, and they should all go.
There they go. Nice spare for Ed Woodside. I mentioned before the break that Tim Fenton from Worcester emailed to tell us about the passing of former Massachusetts Bowling Association president and treasurer Charlie Deneen. Charlie died in December at the age of 88 as Joe Stella, working on a spare, puts a 9 in the mark.
And bonus money, $50 if he can make this one. Bowlers turning up the heat just a bit with mark after mark.
Missed the spare and missed the bonus money. Charlie Deneen, with his wife Annette, owned and operated Metro Bowl on Park Avenue for over 40 years. He leaves one son, Jerry, a 26-year member of the Worcester Fire Department. Charlie was an original co-promoter of the Channel 5 show, and he said at the time many people told him it would never work. There's Joe Stella with a mark. He should have 4 in a row. Watch it again. He went to the Brooklyn side and picked up the mark, his 3rd mark of the string.
Well, Candlepin bowling has been on television in one form or another now for, about 45 years. So somebody had a good idea.
Charlie Deneen's Metro Bowl during the 50s and 60s was the premier bowling establishment in Worcester. Every year it hosted the old Telegram and Gazette tournament. Michael, I mean to tell you, as a kid in Worcester, look at that shot by Ed Woodside. Wow. Great spare.
He's actually taken the lead by 1 pin in this game, not in the match overall. There's the shot on slow-mo. That's 3 in a row and a $50 bonus payout now.
It would probably be hard to tell you if you really weren't there to see it. There's a 9 in the spare. How big that Telegram and Gazette bowling tournament used to be in Worcester every year through the 60s and 50s, 60s, and into the early 70s, I think. There's another spare for Ed Woodside, and there's more bonus money. He's got $75 in bonus money now. But unfortunately, it is no longer in existence, at least to my knowledge, as Joe Stella responds with a 9-pin drop as he works on a strike, looks to put a mark in it. So we want to acknowledge the passing of Charlie Deneen in Metro Bowl. Spare for Joe Stella in the mark.
And a tie game through completed frames.
These guys are red hot. That's 4 marks in the string for Stella. Woodside has 5. Stella's right on the head pin there. A little bit too full. He's going to put 6 in the spare. The wood is good for Joe. It helps him out. Gives him a little margin. He's got a shot at it. Not going to make it.
Almost didn't use the wood and almost made it. So this must have been one of those tournaments, Dick, that would go for weeks and weeks because you could never do it all in one weekend.
It ran for a while. It was It was just very big. It had the best bowlers in the Worcester area, and there were a lot of great bowlers back then. And needless to say, being sponsored by the Telegram and Gazette, it used to get great coverage by the Telegram and Gazette. It was a big sports page item. There's one item in this note from Tim Fenton that I'll get to in a second here. There's a shot. Ooh, Woodside almost made it. 5 in a row. And a 9 box. Tim Fenton says he remembers helping Charlie and his son Jerry close the lanes in 1978. And he asked him at the time who he had made the most checks out to in tournament play. And he said Charlie Jutras, followed by Rolly Blondin. Rolly Blondin was one of the great bowlers in Worcester. He was also a harness racing driver. And
no kidding.
Just one of the great athletes in Worcester. And he asks, Tim asks anecdotally, whatever happened to him? I have no idea where he is.
Don't know either. Anybody knows, please drop us a line.
A 133 for Ed Woodside. As Paul Willett goes down to remove a ball that had started coming back up this way.
Dick, you mentioned Charlie Jutras, falling cash and checks in the 50s. He's still doing it in the Senior Professional Candlepin Tour at the Bayberry Bowl in Spencer, Mass. Back in January. He came in 4th in a tournament. Steve Vadney, who's been on the show many times, won it with a 662 for 5 games. Charlie Jutras was number 4.
Put the 5 in the mark for Ed Woodside, and it's a 138 second string for Ed Woodside. As he finishes spare 5. Joe Stella's at 113 through 8. Right on the headpin again. The 3 and the 5. The wood is behind and not a factor, I don't believe. He doesn't need the wood. He makes the spare. These guys are making shots. 5th mark of the string for Joe Stella. He had 5 marks in the first string, in which he had a 130. He's right on the headpin again. Puts 6 in the spare. Oh, he almost made it. He is right on target. He's putting that ball exactly where he wants it with every shot. It's a 10 box and a 139, and Joe Stella wins the string by a pin, 139 to 138, adding a pin to his lead. He leads by 20 as we head to the 3rd string. It's a terrific match. These bowlers are bowling magnificently. Don't go away. We're coming back for the finale from WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes right after this. Joe Stella will be first to bowl in the 3rd string. Both bowlers bowling extremely well. 269 for Joe Stella, 249 for Ed Woodside. A 20-pin lead for Joe Stella as he is the first to bowl. And look at this. It goes to show when things are going right, they're going right. Off the headpin, and he almost made a strike.
We saw Joe Stella in the Tournament of Champions this past season. He defeated Jeff Bagia. I'm sorry, he was beaten by Jeff Bagia, who had 400 to Joe Stella's 370. Previously to that, of course, he'd beaten a fellow he's bowling today at Woodside, 373 to 366 in December of 2001.
Joe on the Brooklyn side that time, putting 7 in the spare. No wood to help out. He's just on target. His ball is really going where he wants it to go.
Also in the Tournament of Champions, Dick, in the year 2000, he was the top seed but lost to Chris Bovair, 359 to 343 a couple years ago.
8 box for Joe, 25 through 2. Ed Woodside with some work to do, trailing by 20 pins coming into the string, and Joe Stella with a mark in the first box.
Runner-up takes $200 home today for his efforts, and the winner goes on to advance to the 3rd winningest WCBC bowler in history, Craig Holbrook. It's been 3 years since Craig's been on the show. He'll be back as the number 3 seed next week.
Our crew working this afternoon, Kevin LaFond is our director. Our engineer is Keith Webb. Don Cronin is on replay. Cheryl Sylvia is working with graphics. Alex Kallistoff is on audio. Kevin Sheehan, Dean Zanello, and Jonathan Elias are working the cameras.
Jonathan's having a birthday today.
Happy birthday to Jonathan. Was it 23, Jonathan?
23.
Is that what he said? 23
years old. He said, it seems like just yesterday I was 22. I said, I got news for you. As you get older, the birthdays come faster and faster. So enjoy them while they're fairly infrequent at this point in your life.
Great shot by Ed Woodside. 4 horsemen plus 1 in the back. It was the 9-pin. Watch it again. There's that 9 in the back. The wood helped out. Here's Joe Stella responding. A 9-pin drop. The 4-pin stands. Spare for Joe Stella. Second mark and 3 boxes for Joe.
Match is still very much in doubt, even though Joe Stella's had the lead almost from the beginning of the game. Ed Woodside is hanging around.
Joe continues to make marks. He won't allow Ed to sneak back in. Piece of wood is straddling the gutter. This looks like a pretty easy one, and it is. 2 marks in a row for Joe Stella. Ed Woodside working on a spare. $75 in bonus money is all we've given away thus far to Ed Woodside. Joe Stella hasn't collected any bonus money with 5 marks in the first string and 5 marks in the second string. Stella has not been able to cash a bonus check. 4 horsemen. Sleeper pin in the back is the 9-pin.
Well, that's going to put him about another 10 pins behind, making the margin now through 3 frames in the last game almost 30 pins.
And he's up against the Joe Stella mark. He needs to mark in this frame to stay within 20 pins with 6 boxes remaining. Threw it right at the head pin. Can he break up the split? Oh, look at that 10-pin dance. The 10-pin moved a couple of inches. Boy, it looks like it's halfway off the lane, doesn't it, from this angle?
It does, which gives him a little bigger margin of error, a little bigger target to hit.
He's got a piece of wood up against the 10-pin, which will help. He's not going to make the shot. Will be open, tough open for Ed Woodside in the 4th frame. There's the 10 bucks. He sure could have used a mark. We're going to go to the break. And it's a 30-pin lead for Joe Stella, plus a ball when we come back to Leda Lanes in Manchester for the final 6 frames of this match on WNDS-TV's Candlepin Stars and Stripes. Joe Stella ready to go on lane 34. He has a 29-pin lead plus whatever he gets on this ball. And it's a good ball. It's 7. So that makes it a 36-pin lead for Joe Stella.
Some of Joe Stella's children bowl with Ed Woodside's kids. Saturday morning league.
Look at that shot. He almost made it.
At Central Park Lanes in East Boston. So their families are tied together in friendship and competitively in bowling, as you see today. And Joe Stella again has the upper hand.
Joe and wife Debbie have children Cheryl, Kara, and Joe.
Joey was the WCBC Rookie of the Year in 1988 and 89, and in 2 weeks we're going to see the current WCBC Rookie of the Year from last season, John Zappi, who's the number 2 seed in our ladder.
Joe missed one right there, one that he could have had. That's going to be a 10 box.
Back-to-back 10s, giving Ed Woodside a glimmer of hope, but Ed's got to certainly take advantage here.
He needs to double mark right here to get back in the hunt. You can eat up pins in a hurry if you can mark. And that's certainly the key right here.
And through completed boxes, he's 36 pins down in the match.
Tough shot here. Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV, presented by Tri-State Megabucks and the games of the New Hampshire Lottery. Ooh, the ball went flying by the 7-pin. And by the Thompson family of dealerships, McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Mitsubishi, Nashua Hyundai, and Nashua Cadillac.
Still 36 behind through completed boxes, with only 6 more frames to go for Ed Woodside.
Right in the pocket, and here they go. That was a perfect 1-3 pocket hit.
Brings a smile to his face, gets a high five from his partner.
Watch it again, right in the 1-3 pocket perfectly. The 5-pin was the last to go, as it usually is. And it's a spread eagle for Joe Stella.
Beautiful try for the spread eagle, leaving the 2 and the 7. Now that's 3 non-marked frames in a row for Joe Stella. Ed Woodside, if he could throw a double strike here, would certainly make this a more interesting match. As we're into the home stretch, the final couple boxes.
Good ball thrown by Joe.
2 pieces of wood frozen to the 10-pin. This will be an easy spare. You want to stay to the left if you can, because you got a big old target out there.
That should go. There it is, a mark for Joe Stella. Ed needs to mark in these 2 frames. Put 3 marks in a row on the board, get some bonus money, and get back in the match. He threw that one away, but he's working on a strike, so it gives him a reprieve.
1, 2, 5, and 7 with some wood between the 5 and the 7.
Just put 7 in the spare, in the strike rather. More importantly, an open frame and a 9 box. So Joe Stella's in good shape, pretty much on cruise control right now. Ed throws a good ball, has a tough shot left though.
Deserved better than that. It was a good solid Brooklyn side hit. Leaves the 8-10.
Now with some wood to help out. Not going to get it to go. And it'll be a 10 box. Ed Woodside can just about slam the door right here. Joe Stella can slam the door right here, I should say. And that's going to just about do it. Put 9 in the spare. Great shot. Add another spare and climb the ladder, will Joe Stella. Looking for bonus money now. He throws it off the head pin. But they're still moving around. Put 5 in the mark.
Yeah, 3-pin has been nudged over a couple inches to the left.
Not going to go. Everything but the 7-pin. He is at 131, 132.
401.
A 3-string total of 401 for Joe Stella. Not too shabby.
Nothing flashy. All games, Dick, in the 130s. 130, 139, and 132. And Joe will also get the $50 high string of the game, or a day prize money, which is $50.
Have to reset the pins. 1 pin didn't come down on lane 34.
4 strikes would give Ed Woodside 389. Not enough. And we're having trouble with the pin setter on lane 34.
Here it goes. Just waiting to fill, and now it seems to be ready. And let's see if we get reset.
Cycling through, and all
we should
10
be all right.
Are there.
Now let's see if we can give Ed some bonus money. Threw it off the head pin, so it's going to be a struggle. 4 horsemen on the left, 10-pin on the right. And a 9 box for Ed. He's at 99.
We'll have a look at Craig Holbrook next week for the first time in almost 3 years. He was the third qualifier at 683. Joe Stella has been on the championship team with Craig Holbrook in the men's 3-person competition several years ago. So they're no strangers to each other either.
.108. And 108 it is for Ed Woodside, and a 3-string total of 357, and a 44-pin win for Joe Stella over Ed Woodside, 401 to 357. Joe Stella advances. We will come back to talk to our bowlers when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for the conclusion of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Joe Stella advances with a 401 to 357 win over Ed Woodside. Ed Woodside joins us, $200 for being runner-up. We had $75 in bonus money for you as well. You and Joe have bowled with and against each other many, many times. So when you watched him at the start, were you able to tell that he was on his game right away?
The first couple boxes he wasn't, but after that, and he's seen I was throwing a good ball and I wasn't really getting any breaks. I couldn't really get those, you know, the pins to fall. And then once he got in that groove, I knew I had to bowl. Like, I could have beat him. I mean, I could have bowled the 2 strings to beat him, but just couldn't get it done. But
once he got in the groove, he was in the groove. Are you able to tell? You know him so well. Do you know when he's on, when he's off, when he's on?
I was surprised that he didn't bowl like a 425 or 430 when I seen him bowling. I mean, he bowled so good, great 401. But he still let up a couple shots that if I was bowling good, I could have caught him.
So, Ed, does this mean the steel cage will be dragged out on yet another day?
I'll get him in a steel cage one of these days. I don't know if it'll be bowling or something else now.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, you were really in it up until maybe the last 3 or 4 boxes. I mean, did you feel like you could have, a couple marks, you could have surged ahead?
Actually, when I threw the strike in the 6th box, I said to myself, you know, get up there, throw a good ball, and you're in it. So it was that. Then I threw a bad ball. I missed the head pin. Wasn't my worst ball I ever threw, but, you know, and then after that, I knew we had me. But
well, it would have been a good time to string a couple together because you hit the triple strike jackpot 2 years ago for $525, so no stranger to doing it on TV. Now, your kids, are they still bowling together at Central Park Lanes?
Lauren's not bowling. She's into dancing, but Michael's bowling. Yeah, he's bowling very well. Bowled at 325 Saturday.
So the bowling families are intertwined in many different levels, huh?
Yeah, exactly. My mother bowled for many years. She always had over 100 average when she bowled. For a woman at Central, that was pretty good. So, yeah, it just goes down generation to generation, hopefully.
And the North Shore of Massachusetts continues to be a Candlepin bowling hotbed.
Yeah,
you see it's still strong?
Yeah, there's a lot of alleys that are still open. We go around. We go to Metro. We go to East Boston, Wakefield, Melrose. I bowl all over, so.
Ed, congratulations. We'll see you again. Ed Woodside, our runner-up here this afternoon, losing to Joe Stella 401 to 357. And now Joe Stella will bowl the bonus ball contest on lane 33. We'll try to match him up with a winner at home and see if we can give away $120 in the bonus ball contest. It is an 8. Michael, can you pull an 8 out of the bin?
I don't know. Can I?
It is from Marion McLeod of Ipswich, Massachusetts, and she said 7. Not a match. A consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts for Marion McLeod. And Joe Stella, come on up and get right between us, and we'll congratulate Joe Stella, our winner here this afternoon. And as I mentioned to Ed, once you got in the group, you know when you're on, when you're off, when you're on. Did you know you were on early in the match?
No, I thought it was off. I thought Eddie was throwing a good ball, and he had nothing to show for it. I was throwing a bad ball and getting breaks.
But then you found the range, and you seemed to have real good control over your ball.
Yeah, here and there. Not all together, but I had some range here and there. Not like I wanted, though.
You and I spoke recently, and you told me that Brother John considers making a comeback into Candlepin bowling. What's this change of heart after 15 years?
I think he's watching these guys on TV, and he's saying he can, you know, when he bowled, the pins are a lot tougher than they are now, and he's looking at these pins fly, and he's getting ideas are coming back.
Now, the last time that he bowled, I think you told me was up in Canada when you and your brother bowled the Morgans.
Yep. He bowled the Morgans, me, Johnny, the Stellas and the Morgans. We bowled together up in Canada.
Well, next week you're going to be facing the 3rd winningest bowler in the WCBC history. In fact, a 3-man team winner with you back in the late 80s, of course, Craig Holbrook.
That's correct. I know Craig very well. He's a very good bowler, and I'm going to have to bring my best game with me right now.
We have an additional $50 for having the high string in the match, and of course the opportunity to move up. A 401. It was a very easy 401. If there are easy 400s, it looked like it was effortless for you today.
Yeah, it didn't look like I bowled 400, right. Like I said, I thought I was off a little bit today.
very consistent, all in the 130. So
Yeah.
it was a nice, steady day. Nothing flashy, but it all adds up to 401.
Take it anytime. Joe, thanks very much. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, man.
Joe
All right.
Stella, our winner here this afternoon, and up the ladder we go, and Craig Holbrook is next.
Great lefty, and it's been 3 years since Craig Holbrook was on our show, a former bowling teammate of Joe Stella's. So it'll be a lot of fun next week.
401 triple for Joe Stella this week. Can he do it again next time? We'll find out. And we'll look for you as well on our next edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. For Mike Morin and our entire crew from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Dick Lutzk. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as our friends at Leda Lanes always like to remind you, let's go!